So I want to do the dollar versus the yen. And a lot of people won't trade this currency because it can take off in either direction like it's just been burned, in a grease fire. You're naked in the kitchen and somebody throws grease on you. And this can really move around quite a bit. If I go to the monthly dollar yen, we're coming right up into the previous bottom here. So definitely scalpers territory. There's very rare times you would look at a monthly chart, but I'd say if there's any time, if there was ever a time, and look at this beautiful rollover here, and without using RSI, you can see this is what I learned from all my thousands of dollars in RSI, that I can see this rollover happen in monthly closing prices without having to look down at the bottom panel. Now, I could do a whole thing on RSI, and some guy asked me, oh, you're doing all these different indicators. What the fuck? Don't you have a goddamn consistent... No. I don't have patience, okay? I'm going to tell you straight out. I have no patience for this stuff. I can see these trades coming. Sometimes the more you know, the worse it is. So that's why they call it beginner's luck, because a lot of people would just be like, hey, they're not getting out of it because they're like, I don't like the way. Now, if you've ever gotten out of a trade, I don't know how committed or stubborn you are, but I think I'm stubborn enough to let them stop me out or blow the account up, to be honest with you, because I just have too big an ego. I think I'm right. I do think you can be right about these things. And I do think there's a formulaic, I think there is a, not a formulaic, but I think there's a natural healing. The market goes into shock and then it heals itself and it scabs over, and that's consolidation, and then they rip the scab off. So this market is getting scalded constantly. And people have tried to sell this thing. People have tried to buy this thing. This puppy moves. Now, I could say you would just dedicate a whole broker to this, a whole different demo account, because you're dealing with a whole different, and people would say, well, you need clouds to trade this. I don't know. This is like, wow, look at this puppy coming back into the previous support. You get a double top, becomes a bottom, becomes a bottom. Gee, what do you think the likelihood is? People are going to start dumping. People have thought this is going to the moon, and don't forget, this currency has the ability to go to the moon. If you look at all the setups back here, this is hysterical, this fucking market. And you can imagine how bearish people were. Like, gosh, where did this market pull back to? Where the top becomes the bottom, because you finally got that set up. Now, these are classics. This is a once in a... I say if you were alive during this period and you loaded the fucking wagon like a blind idiot because you knew this was a top, so you're like, buyers should come in here, and they did for a little bit, for a bounce, a little bounce. Then, boom. And who's not buying this trap? If your first buy limit starts here and you put a basket of orders in here, put a dark pool down here, all the way to here, you'll buy all the way to that. Look at this. Look at this baby bottom becomes a top just before, hello, bye-bye. Trap these guys on the wicks. Going to new highs. We're going up. Don't forget. It's confirmed uptrend. Oh, yeah. We pulled back. This is wave one. This is 1, 2, another 3. This is ABC wave. You fill in the blank. But these markets are turning on a dime. And if this is a pullback, and we're going to go take out this high, wow, it's going to be a lot. Good luck, right? Good luck getting past this logjam of this top up in here. You get a double top outside. So this is the trap into that this complete edge of the market trade. Like if this was on the daily chart, your sell limits start at the top of that wick and they become the closing double top in monthly. So the only way you can see this is if you drill down and fix the scale in the properties window. You want to always go to fixed scale if you're going to do a look back to do tops become bottoms and that kind of thing. And has it ever happened before? I think it has this big battle here. Double top becomes a bottom. And this is a hammer. Anything with a big wick is either a hammer, a shooting star. There's only two kinds of candles: bullish, bearish, and doji. Or there's three kinds of candles. The market's either dead in the water, it's exploded in both directions, it's done vibrating, it's consolidating, or it's screaming in one direction. Screaming. This will be something else to watch. We've got another 100 pips to go, 150 pips to go to this. And the scalpers are going to start to have their, or commerce is going to take place. I mean, you're right near the psychological 120 is right here. This is 120. This is 120 right here. 120. Gee, that's the pivot? What the fuck? You mean to tell me 120 dead on at the end of the month, end of the year? So this is 1 year. 2. And when we were up here, my God, what were people thinking, we were going to keep going? So isn't the market, if you frame it properly in just one big range trade, isn't it just a big range trade all day long? Like, really, where is this thing going? Honestly. You can tell me all about this wonderful run up here. But I'm telling you, if you moved your stop, if you bought this top become a bottom, I talked about this a million times. Not a million, I'm exaggerating now. But I said this is the ultimate setup. If you ever see this setup, this kind of market come into a, where everything, it's like that, they say every 15 minutes in a restaurant, like people stop talking. There's a lull. And that moment right there, that's that awkward silence when people, they're like, what? Did you just, and then all of a sudden, it's somebody has to go on stage and break the silence. Somebody has to go out there and take one for the team, because, and there's an aha moment. When the crowd has an aha moment, they're like, oh, wait a minute. I think the party's over, and I didn't realize, and you're talking to another person in the room, and everybody's left the room, and you're like, holy shit, my God. Or, you're so lost in the minutia of what's going on. The monthly chart, like, I'm not a big fan, but boy, it's certainly fucking insane here on this monthly chart. I mean, how many moves have you seen like this? Man, is that a quick and dirty rally into the consolidation zone? So obviously, I would be cashing out of something in the next 50 pips. I think we'd go up another 100 pips and fly around up there. Juggle. The thing's just going to be all over the map. And he'd be ready for that kind of fight. I mean, this is a brutal fought battle up here. This is insanity. And had you had a sell limit right there, when they came back and wicked it up in, good fill. Perfect entry. Obviously, the trend line's broke. Forget a moving average. It's never going to give you a dynamic entry. Never. If you have to print that out, that's a 5 bottom trend line. Dead on. Right on the clock, right on the monthly. Here's the trap. If I saw this on an hourly chart, now this could be, the way a 5-minute chart or a 1-minute chart can look like this, actually. This could be a 1-minute chart. But this beautiful soft landing here, I think is what I'm into. This, where it just curves out, and then you have that amazing top becomes a double bottom, and then everything gets, I remember when gold did this. And I said, gold was at 270 an ounce, and I swear to God, I told people, you gotta buy here. They're like, well, it's not set up on the chart yet. I'm like, oh, really? So we're gonna keep going down? So loss of momentum. And look how the sellers didn't come in at this bottom. They ripped their fucking heads off. Not until we got to this wick, which is this big bottom from back here, do we even see people going, I'm going to scalp that back to this. So that wick back into that is nothing but a scalp back to that. Amazing trade. You would have made tons of money on that fucking setup. This one, if you had a basket of limits on the monthly, holy shit. Wow. Look at that. Talk about liquidity vacuum. So talk about dark pool. Look at that puppy. And that's why I have my wicks black. That's the hidden secret of my system. That's the dark pool, all this stuff. But hell, if you have sell limits trailing the whole time, when it's going up, you got buy limits trailing. No stops. Just buy limits. Because you know the market's just going to be doing this shit all the way up there. Look at these 3 wicks. You just buy the wicks. Here's the closing price. You just buy the blacks. Sell the blacks. As soon as we start going up, you're like, oh boy, this wick area, just the wick zone carried forward. This is going to be obvious problem here. How can it not? Certainly here. That's why that trend line's there. But it may take forever to get out there. Now that's another possible scenario. So you have to have a scenario. So when people say, well, this guy can predict the market, I think you have to have multiple scenarios. Bill Williams puts a sell stop here in case he's wrong. And if it keeps tumbling, he's like, oh yeah, let's go with it. Fuck, I was wrong. That's why they say you don't want to be right and lose money. If you're wrong, like if you have buy stops here and then you just keep going, fuck, I mean, this thing is, except the fact that it is going up, you fill the first dish, like this is that cup and handle bullshit people talk about. Well, yeah, here's the cup and here's the handle. I'm like, dude, I want to buy the bottom of the cup. I want to buy right here. And I want to get out here and the trade's over for me. You could have all this 1 year triangle. You could have that to yourself. But this is a perfect triangle on wicks on the 1 year. And this is a perfect doji. This is the ultimate structure. But I think people are having a problem with this volatility here. Big smash down. Takes out all these orders. Rips back up. Rips down new lows. People are like, holy shit. And as soon as they get back to where they bought, they're like, I'm getting out. How about you, Jed? And then some guy comes, oh, watch this. We're going down new low. Pull back. Okay, gotta get out, guys. But now that whole game is starting to get really like not making it. It's making okay money. But here people are like, is that a double bottom? Oh my God, this is wave 1 of Elliott wave. This is a perfect wave 1. Oh my God. Oh my God, I got her phone number. Then here. Oh man, I'm waiting for her to call. She calls me. We fuck our brains out in the hotel. Okay, we get married. Okay, this is not so much fun as we. So, oh, we went a second honeymoon. Okay, all right. We got her boob job. Oh, I love her to death. And then, oh God, honey, I don't know. You're boring the shit out of me. We get divorced. Bam, we get remarried. And I'm like, oh man, I'm getting that feeling again. So that's what they say, that it's like a relationship. It's a life cycle. Elliott Wave's supposed to be imitating nature's cycle of bad relationships. But here's a beautiful top, becomes a bottom, and you got a place to draw a trend line. You've only got, how can you fuck that up? You got the trend line drawn here. It revisits with the perfect wave 4. 1, 2, 3. Let's ignore that notch. 4, consolidation. Uh-oh, failure. So I guess wave 5 is out here supposedly. But the rhythm of this market is so brutal. You have to start your wave count over every wave. If you're really an Elliottian, you're starting the wave count over. Oh, well, it's wave threes. If you just think about trading wave threes, you'll be fine. You need the direction. In other words, you're looking for the first date, the pullback to create your first entry. Okay, she likes me. We can go and go to the whatever, and go to the fair. Then go to the movies. We'll go see a movie. We come back. We're hungover, and we go see another movie. I mean, everybody needs to take a break sometimes. And so market takes a break, and I would say it's going to be drilling down on. Now you go to the weekly chart and look for places that first big resistance area. But if you see it on the 1 hour chart, it's spiking up, and you're like, oh my God, it just moved like. You definitely want to sell that immediately, because that's, if you're selling with stops underneath as it's marching up and then as it pulls back and all that stuff. But then you'd have to be a high frequency trader. You'd have to have your fingers on the triggers. Otherwise, you're waiting for the damn thing to go up another 150 pips, unfortunately. So your first sell is going to be here and here and here. But you get to sell all the way up into this now. Who wouldn't want to sell that? I bet, and right now on the 4 hour chart, we're right in the kind of running out of steam view of this thing. So here's the weekly. Now you can't even believe this is the weekly chart. After that perfect monthly chart, which I don't think it gets any better because that dollar yen is just nuts. It's a nutty currency. Here's your triple wick entries. Every time we dip below here, you just keep buying. Just buying. You don't know if you get stopped out. Fuck that stop out shit. Here, you got perfect. How many bottoms here? Come on. How many bottoms are there in there? Look at this perfect triangle. This is where they just, this phase here, this reaccumulation before a markup. Look at that thing, man. Perfect breakout pullback to the apex of that triangle. But there's also the other trades. I did this in a video actually that long ago. It's the first video I did talking about these two triangles back here. How similar these two triangles are. In nature, this is the breakout, pullback, find support, finally weasels out. There's two trend lines in there. I love trend lines. They're just so clean. You can't get any cleaner than that. I mean, can you really? Especially if you're an Elliottian. Same story here. Really brutal confusion there. Very smaller range, more dense, more detailed. Plenty of great trades on there. That's the weekly chart. Can you imagine having a buy limit in a range of 120 pips here? How long? You've got about a month to place these orders. You're going to buy here. You're going to buy there. You're going to buy there. This is without no MACD. No. Why would you buy there? Because it's support. Okay, support and resistance. You buy here on top of this wick. You got a top here. So here's where your Fibonacci comes in. See, here's like the vanishing point. See, Fibonacci, imagine the closer you get to this congestion zone. It's not Fibonacci, it's like a logarithmic vanishing point. So the closer you get to the apex of these triangles, here's the last top that was taken out. We close above it. There is a pullback wick in there. There's a chance to still board the train. It's not a done deal. Not written in stone. It's just such a fluid. I mean, there's so many places. Trend lines, to me, I guess I really took offense to that trend line comment. I just went off on a bender over that. But here is the failure. This is support. It breaks through. It finds resistance. Sellers are supposed to come in. And don't forget, we're supposed to spill out of that triangle. And I think we all have heard the scenario. I'm going to put that rogue trading video in here. The rogue market manipulation trader. The only good tape the guy did, and after that, he just went off the rails. he wanted me to talk to their trading room, and I guess I offended him because I went to his video and made fun of it. And oh boy. But like I have nothing to gain. I'm not trying to. I just want to show people what I see, and what I see, and what seems to be. You can't get any simpler. Forget opening price, close, and range. That's all I have is tooth flavors. And I think this is plenty of punishment right here. All the other stuff is real. I made fun of this. I think it was the chart, the ward, and the guy saw the cloud thing. He thought I was doing different strategies, but that is the, that's like dressing, like nobody wants to see anybody nude. I mean, I don't know. Girls, it really depends how fit are you. If you're really fit, it's like, okay, we can handle it. And then, of course, there's always the guy in the Speedo. It's mind-blowing that he's real overweight. You can't even see the Speedo. He's so overweight. He's at the beach, and he's like, whatever. And I'm like, wow, man, you should be a trader because you got balls bigger than... I mean, I'm kind of self-conscious. I'm not going to go out and try to impress people with my physique. I guess I'm not even on that scale. I'm in the other opposite of giant. I'm just like, I guess I'm just fragile. But I can't go up and get in a bar fight with somebody. But I guess I could kill him, but I couldn't be that big bouncer guy. I could kill him if I had to, but it would be. I could bite you. I could bite you. That would hurt. That's actually a great martial arts trick, biting people. And so when I look at everything that's out there, I just say, can we just go naked? They say, no, put some clothes on that puppy. I'd like to see you in an ikamushu cloud. Actually, I prefer you in a nice pair of hakanashis. And like, I know people want to dress it up, man. They always have that. It's kind of cute. They always put the RSI at the bottom of this. Some people. I'm always like, that's cute. I have an oscillator in there. But I think when I'm trading, I'm not looking down at the oscillator. I'm just looking at my balance and thinking, am I making money on this trade? It's just personal psychological issue, but I do look at this like a vanishing point. If I put all these in here, as you get into this congestion, then all these things get really fine. This is the horizon line. And it's so funny how they just keep banging off this repeatedly. Now, this is difficult to trade if you don't see the rearview mirror picture of where you're at in the big picture. While this is going on, your strategy has to almost, the first time they dip into this window, you have to say, you know what? That might happen again. Like this thing. Now, everybody's expecting a trend continuation at this point. Oh, we're just going to keep going up. Oh, we're just going to keep going up. Oh, we're just going to keep going up. And another thing you can isolate is this trend line here that is going to give you the big picture trend line view, which hard anchored, doesn't float, doesn't move, isn't exponential weighted, linear, isn't simple, isn't smooth, isn't any fancy 20 EMA shit, and you can hang it right off this bottom here. And you're going to say, well, what do you think the bears are thinking about that support line? And you get really precise on that. Drag it right to close. You have to use a little bit of, what do they call it, poetic license there, but you can pick more than one here. But this is like a Gann fan. People talk about Gann fans, but the market is its own Gann fan. That's all I'm trying to say. No need to go outside of like you're working on a car with rusted bolts and they're smeared and you have to put a metric on top of American to work on it because that happens to be where it's at. It is what it is. So if you go for this without making it look too Gann fanish, but you can get rid of that just by stretching the scale. If you hang this pivot to this internal vibration, it's really vibrating. And so it's just echoing. It's just echoing from I don't want to sound too mystic, but if this is your big anchor from the shock reaction and it's like not coming back here, we've blown through this triangle, and at this point you're up in this vault of like people are like, I can't even believe we're up here, and they've trapped the super bullish people, and if they do buy long, they're trapped. But it's just basically like, wow, that's a hell of a price. And if I zoomed out on the monthly, you'd see that's definitely that goes way back to the well, that's I just blew the where I was in the chart there. If you go back to the monthly to spot that price, so those two triangles I'm working on are actually here. Very complex. They're almost like famous in my mind. The three triangles on this chart are famous. I don't know what to say. Maybe this down here. Same, if you could zoom into this, but I don't have the shift thing, or I'm missing my shift key, or turn off scroll lock. But if you zoomed in on this, the same story. The apex of that triangle rests into this top. But after this screaming move up here, you can see how out of context pip-wise this is to now trading this. I was trading euro yen, and there's times where I made so much money and I couldn't figure out why, because I was like, you got to be kidding. And don't think people weren't selling this going, you know what, this thing's done. Man, they get clobbered. Only because I would say we weren't done filling this giant hole that started way down here, and as it's filling up, and once it takes this out, it fills all the way to the top of the cup. Holy God! Another triangle. It's a very triangular market. I think it's because, it's a triangular market. Look at that. That's only one wing of a bat. Butterfly. I like the butterfly pattern. But look at this hole needed to be filled. Wow. And if it ever did go through the whole cycle of here, goes sideways, then maybe it's going to backfill all the way in here. I doubt it, but this is going to be quite the trap, and maybe it is going to eventually, the dollar is going to just totally annihilate the yen. This is looking way out, but what if you come up here and you just don't find anybody selling, and they're like, I bought here and I'm adding to that position because I'm sure as hell that we're going to go like nutsoid through the top and just keep going. That'd be very interesting. 2008 highs taken out. It's a possibility. In the next few years, it's definitely possible. But yeah, that's going to be something else. And the volatility up here, like these triangles are so baby, and that you just don't even. Here, I gotta switch this off. And look at this thing take off out of that triangle there. So this was if this is going to be your anchor leg coming out of that pivot, this is supposed to hold. It doesn't quite work out. I guess these lines are just too historical. You can't project that far away from that. All you know is when you do these lines, you're talking about momentum. When you do this stuff, you're just talking about price, and just price has a hell of a memory to it there. But look at the landscape of this puppy going back to 1997. Wow. Man, they love this price. Always a battle at that price. Look at that run. I don't think I've seen a cleaner run other than this run. That's astounding. Astounding. Kind of exciting to see that thing come flying up. Daily chart, 4 hour. Huh, they're still buying it. So where would you sell this? I say this is supposed to be where the sellers came in, and they did, but they only got to here. So this should be an easy currency to trade. Actually, the spread's pretty tight. A lot of people trading this thing. Big fight all the time. Here's your top. You're looking to take out. Breaks out, pulls back. Supposed to keep going, doesn't? They fall into the table. They take it to this internal top. You get 3 entries off this internal top. Then we've got this trend line we've drawn off of these 3 closes. Connects to this 4th one. Kind of a sloppy connection, but you're gonna average out. That's your only averaging, is you kind of average that out. That's the previous top becoming a triple bottom. This is a great kind of tunnel through the air. I think it's called Tunnel Through the Air by Wells Wilder or something. When I saw that, I thought, okay, these people are off their rocker. Look how that thing just sneaks away. Man. What a killer pattern. This is tough sledding here for 4 hours, but man, when this thing finally takes out the week, pulls back to the top of the previous week, doesn't even, man, this thing's in such a hurry to get there. This thing hardly can wait to come back, but if you committed to buy, every low you see, you've got a buy limit. You should have a buy limit here. There's 2 reasons to have a buy limit. Then you got your trend line on the 4 hour that you drew. You got 2 tops. You broke out, you pulled back, and you're waiting for this trend line to break. But you want to be in before the trend line breaks. You want to get in as this wedge is forming, just like this. Unfortunately, you'd have to be long on this thing, although I'd be scared out of my fucking mind at this point. But this last low, you had a buy limit there. Okay, you scalped, you made 40 pips. Wow. This thing's on fire. Good luck trading this with this 50 pip grid there. You just made 100 pips on this blast. This looks like something to really think about selling. Project off of. You have to project off of this now. You don't have a choice. This thing's going hyperbolic. Now you have to think in terms of planning the trade in advance. You got a triple top here. Where do you expect this thing to get into? And it's just going to be, you're going to have to guess. It's going to need some time, so the next bar could actually go right to there. So what's the possible scenarios here? Probably not going to do a straight up run. We might consolidate longer, form a wedge. We might even retest here, so you'd have buy limits here, and then you just, if you're long right now, hopefully you're going to cash out on the this bottom. You have to get out here. So if your 50 pip ride's over right now, I would say. And maybe you're selling. These first sells coming in here. Sell here in a limit, here, and all the way up to here. There's nothing you can do about the fact that it's highly volatile. That's not going to help you with the sell side. The buy side is going to look like this: buy limits here off of these ledges, maybe. Just all the way down. Then I go to the 1 hour chart and scalp it. If you got your pending sitting there and you can only trade you're only trading one currency on one broker, so you're really not overloading the thing, then you're looking for it to climax into that line, which is about 100 pips up. New highs, and it'll definitely be scary, but it's kind of exciting actually to start selling right there. First sell limit, sell for the next how many pips, and just don't trade big. So as it fills, you're in something, and if you're scared out of your mind, there's nothing you can do about that. You just have to drink more. Thing is, these moves are temporary. It's a weekly chart. I drew that trend line on the here's the daily, so I drew that trend line on the other one. Here's the other cool thing about trend lines is this trend line holds through that shift to the 4-hour time frame. It's totally in sync with that projection. It's no wishy-washy. Look at that. Beautiful top becomes a bottom. You can see it on the 4-hour. You should be able to see it show up in the daily. So yeah, it's going to be something else. I'm going to be selling up there. Put some scalp limits up there. Various stops. Really a piece of cake. Triple bottom support channel. Current channel. And we broke out. We can pull back in. And then the sell limits go up here. And you start selling. If you want to be on the safe side, put them up there for now. And when you look at it on the 4-hour chart, it looks like, that could happen. So I guess it's like, is it realistic? Could it happen? This trend line's got to hold. That's kind of iffy. I don't know. Boy, this thing's got to have some... you may have to come back to here. So you have to have a place to put the buy orders. And this is a place you can have a triple top here. This triple top should serve as support coming back. If it's really in a parabolic tunnel through the air scenario, then I have no problem buying in this area all the way to this. And if the orders only last one day, then just replace the orders the next day. If it looks like we're not getting there, start to bunch the orders up and tighter. So you have to adapt to market conditions. This is the difficult part, is to adapting to the way the market's behaving. So accommodating the market is psychologically difficult because if you have a certain amount of pips in your target plan and you look back at the market vertically like this, you come to realize that there's so much territory this thing's covering. Look at this run. And you would never have guessed that buying this pullback, that having the balls to put in buy limits that start here, and you're buying this 200 pip range, because every day you run that same dumbass script. Just like this. This is a classic trap. Here's your trade block, or what do we call it, your unfair value. They keep punishing that on the 4. That's a 4-hour. Run it up all the way into this bottom, into this cluster. This here's a trade block, 50-yard line. Sell to 50. Holy crap! They just keep going up. A lot of people are like, "Oh, we're probably going to back off to." So there's always a fork in the road. Here's a beautiful trendline breakout, pull back. It's almost a very predictable market in a way, but just psychotically dynamic. That is the difficult part, I must say. If you're used to trading with a certain amount of stop and all of a sudden you're like, I don't have a trade plan for this volatility. I can't step in with a standard lot how can you go from a 50 pip stop to a 500 pip stop without taking your size down? I don't care how much money you have. You don't want to put you don't want to tow your yacht with a smart car. Well, maybe somebody's probably doing it. Like a tugboat, 5 smart cars tugging a yacht. But markets are vertical. That's when I first found that I could fix the grid on this, the pips on this thing. I said, "Oh God, oh my God!" And I remember getting smashed on the yen when I said, "Well, I'm just going to buy the pullback." It was this exact scenario right here. I see that this isn't holding. They can't hold it under this price. Nobody wants to sell. And they take it back up. And I'm up on my trade. I'm like, I'm going to dump and I'm going to put in buy limit right here. Oh my God. They just blew up my account. So that's happened. A lot of when I have a small amount of money in my account, it's you could blow up an account on a day like that. But then, interestingly, after all that drama, and you think the market's out to get you, you get this beautiful top become a bottom, just blip, blip, actually go above this high, which is unthinkable. It's really, this is such a brutal move on the 4-hour chart, because if you think about it, people buy here, then they're like, great, I'm going to buy a retest. I'll buy lower. Well, unless they were set up for that kind of move, then they're like, oh, well, Christ, as soon as it comes up here, I'm going to sell. Oh, really? And then it just walks away and just look at that thing. Imagine trading all those weeks. And are you prepared for this move coming up? This last blast, some guy was selling this. Some guy was telling Kill Stokes, I can't believe it. It's in historical value. It keeps selling and it just barely pulls back. Yeah, you only get to pick up about 150 pips on these pullbacks. Counter trend trade that? Yikes. Look at the wick here, though. That's a monster wick. Oh, we're blowing through these lows. Sells are supposed to come in there on the 4-hour chart. Look how they just annihilated this. Double bottom. Oh, man. So we just ricocheted off this top, become a bottom. So right there on that top, become a bottom. And this is the most wackadoodle. This currency is just mind-blowing. Wow. Good luck. Good luck trading that. That's the daily. That's the daily. This is the secret right here. That's the pivot that was supposed to launch. We were supposed to just keep going up. Bam, into that daily. That shouldn't be too hard to figure on the trades now. I could see this working out. So the scalpers on the 50, yeah, every 50 pips, I would sell all the way up for the next, well, forever, I guess. I don't know how fast we're going to get there. If you're really afraid, just put the orders in so they only last like 8 hours. So you commit to selling up there with an 8-hour sell bank. Or just hand place orders up there. But if we ever take this out, wow. That's something else, man. I definitely think it's pulling back. People are short right now. But if you're a 1-hour trader, you so don't care about that story. You're just looking to look at this great trade here. These are fantastic trades all in here. Has nothing to do with that monster trend. It really doesn't. That's why I was saying fuck trend trading. In other words, if you're a 1 hour trader, all you care about is this scenario. That trap trade right there. Over and over again. Only available to the 1 hour trader. Internal top becomes the bottom. 1 hour chart. 1 hour chart's just pure day trader magic. 50-yard line trades. Easy to place an order with a 25 pip stop to make 50. Over and over again. You have a cluster in there below this. Yeah, inverted head and shoulders. Very easy to see. Double top. Sell limits. Sell limits at the tippy top. You're out of that trade within 1 hour. Let the rest go. 1 hour rules. I'm sorry. I don't have the patience, but I just wanted to bore you to death with those triangles because you're not going to see those kind of triangles on this chart. I would say you're probably more likely to, well, you'd have to zoom in. I don't even know if you could see something that laid into the psychology of, and that would be the definite institutional traders, because institutional traders are so slow in and out of the market that their so-called footprint or the breadth of that institutional, true institutionals trades would be, on the 1 hour, it's just here. I guess you'd have to zoom in. There's no way to really. You can't see the triangle if you get in, if you're into. You can't see little trend trades here. So here's uptrend day. So how do you know you're uptrend? There's your first thing here, and then so you break out. Huge breakout, and this is why you'd want to get in on this. You have this trend line drawn, you see a triple top, and so if you're going to trade on the 1 hour chart, you need to just be looking at the the low of the previous day. So you can't see it on this time frame, but if you can imagine, you're buying right at the low, a 2-day low, and you're like, I can't believe I'm buying down here. I mean, this thing's breaking down. It's a downtrend. And you lock that in and you scalp to say this internal bottom from Asia's close, and that's all you do is that trade. But if you see this trend line, which you've got it drawn this far, here comes the opening of the market. They come down, you got your buy limit pack in here, 50 pip grid. You got to load up on this puppy because you're going to make it all back and then some. One thing I must say about the yen, you're going to make it back. But the trend line's great because you can draw it, when you get your first zigzag, you can draw your first trend line. Triangle here. So I'm sure that's a triangle on a smaller time frame, but I'm just going to call everything that's and here's a top becomes a bottom, so you just keep feeding off this top, reload your gun, or you hold through this whole thing and you don't mind. It just keeps going up. Obviously you're going up. Not so you can't counter trend trade it, because you could counter trend trade it right off of the 50-yard line. I'm selling at the 50. Make 25 pips. I'm selling at the 25, and I just made 50 pips. So if you sold at the 25-yard line like a goof with a 12 pip stop, and you just had an order there, why are you selling up there? That's 25 pips. They fill you. You make money. Then it comes back, and that becomes the top. It becomes the bottom. Here's your trend line on the 15. Just look at the walk down as a trend line. The line is the trend line. Here it's a choppy fucking mess, but this is the only real triangle. They keep they keep dipping into the 50 pip well, and they find a seller at the 25-yard line. So they definitely have that phase. They never came down and filled your buy limits if you were hoping for that. So you had to have your buy limit right on the edge here, right where people are like, oh my God, it's just gonna. And you can only imagine in this parabolic move, they're like, I can't wait to. It never happens. Not to say it won't. Definitely the vacuum is forming always on these parabolic runs. And so up and up and up, and here we go. Wow, this baby just went kazitzoid through that. There's your long-term breakout trend line, and here's the here's where the scalpers got in down here on this trap on that day. Wrote it to here. Just keep on using this as your reference. I guess you have to go for this top. Becomes that bottom. Right at this pivot here. So this is about 25 pip range of drama here. And that as you scooch that down, and if you just bought the fractal, if you just placed a buy stop on that, that would be a great way to get in on a stop is on the shaved top of this. In other words, just rallied up into the top. This way you're not placing as many orders. You're only putting buy stops on mountain peaks to go the other way. I hate buy stop entries, but you'd only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buy stops. You're risking this much though. Every time you get filled on these, because you don't know when this blast is coming. It could have come off of this, but this didn't hold. This trend line broke, found resistance, and kept playing this back and forth. Finally got back to this bottom. Got enough pressure built up. Kablamo. Of course, I think this is when they said, we're going to change the interest rate. And look at that puppy go. This is a classic. I'd say the 1 hour. Otherwise, you're just going to, you want to kill yourself. I definitely put buy limits here, though, this top. So this would be the new, if it falls in this hole, and there's no reason why this couldn't be the bottom becoming a top right now. So the scalpers are out. Made their 50 pips. Now we're either going to, that's it. We're going down. So this is the place to trade at the market and put in a stop, because you want to get in before the breakout, because maybe it's only going to come down to here, and then buyers are going to come in again as soon as they clear out all this area and fill this void. So the market's going to heal itself and come back in, and here's the sell line on the top there. Kept breaking up new highs, so this would be projected up in here, but give the thing plenty of room. I just spaced my orders pretty wide on this currency pair. It's in ridiculous territory. This top bottom has to hold. This is the key level that needs to hold through this. It was definitely a killer trade there. Almost 100 pips on that, like 75 pips on that. Damn. Yeah, this is going to be a spectacular. Wow. That dollar just did a crush on that puppy. Severe crush sound. But amazingly, we're only up on the monthly back into this. So I guess perspective is everything. that monthly is just almost the ideal example of the ultimate rollover. You connect these, there's the triple bottom, finally breaks over. First chance to draw a downtrend line is you see the same thing on the gold monthly. Triple top comes back up. Wow. That's some kind of crazy currency pair. I can see why people are having a problem with this currency. It's brutal. It's highly volatile for no apparent reason. Out of nowhere, it just becomes like a. Oof, that is brutal. The seller should come in though. I think the sellers are going to come in up here. It's going to be a battle. And if you got in here for that move, you done good. Hopefully you bought like 40 standard lots down here. Tight stop. Let that puppy go. I'd be getting out tomorrow. The end of the year is coming too. I don't know what effect that has on it. Here's the end of the year and it just kept going. So I don't think there's anything in the cycles. I just think the market is just really ridiculous. And very, it's not only volatile, but it goes from involatility to volatility. So volatility is one thing. The problem is that it's going down to this where you need to adjust your trade plan, constantly adjust your stop value and your profit, or have a palette of orders available for all sorts of conditions. It's like having a tool set that goes way past like the stuff those bolts they use on bridges, that where the nut's the size of like a pie. It's the size of a small dog. Those nuts they use on the bridge, you're like, is that like a cartoon nut? Did they have a wrench for that? And man, this market, are you serious? So that was the and of course, if you sold up here, your target had to be this thing. You would be getting out here naturally. Like if you sold up here, you're like, okay, that trade's over. You got to know the exit door. And of course, you're a buyer, you know. Everybody's trading both directions. So everybody's unbiased, because if you bought, your target is somebody else's entry. So everybody's trading the same thing in the end, right? Everybody's doing the same thing. All right, good luck. Good luck with that volatility on that yen. And my disclaimer would say, I forgot to put my disclaimer at the end. Trading's risky. If you're trading 40K on this thing, I'd be careful. Like when people say, well, be careful out there. I'm like, well, that'd be most days. I say these markets, man. But yeah, that news, maybe this is a buy the rumor, sell the fact. Okay, so you're going to raise interest rates. Oh, well. Maybe it's a fundamental trade. You saw up here. It's obvious. Maybe it's too obvious. Consolidate, keep going. Who knows?